Hey guys, Mr. O here. I'm going to go over Chapter 1's test for our PFL class and have quite a bit to cover. If you're with me, you're going to do much better on the test than those who are not watching this. And so take that and kind of build up your energy now. Give this some effort, take some notes, pause it, rewind it, do whatever you need to do. Because if you focus on this will give you a nice guide as to what to study, and you'll end up doing way better than those who don't. So let's get started. First thing we've got is, why should you learn about personal finance now? And the biggest thing probably is that you can eliminate financial mistakes if you are told what those mistakes are, what those problems possibly that might come up are. You know, people who don't learn about what could go wrong, such as debt or the interest or the dangers of debt, are probably destined to take on that interest and to take on that debt. But if I warn you about it, when you're at CSU or when you're at a school and there's lots of credit card people coming after you, you'll remember Mr. O's class. Hey, danger of debt, I'm not going to do it, and hopefully you'll avoid that. So that's one of the reasons to kind of take it now, and also because your habits and your behavior now will impact your habits and your behavior later. You know, the single biggest thing to predict what's going to happen in the future is the past. And if you don't care about money now, if it's not a big deal now, guess what? It's probably not going to be a big deal in the future. You're probably not going to care about it in the future. So that's why you should be learning this now. Some of the key components of financial planning, some of them are you need to write out a detailed plan, which we know as a budget. You also need to know the truths about money. There's a lot of myths out there. You know, one of the myths that was told to me when I was growing up is that you're always going to have a car payment. Everybody has car payments. That's not true. We'll learn a way in which you can drive a very nice car and pay cash for it. So get rid of those money myths and let's learn some money truths. Some of the other things too is we need to monitor what's going on with our money. And that's on a regular basis. Where we're spending, where things are going, we want to change it if it's not working, those types of things. One of the things we don't want to do is we don't want to rely on somebody else. That basically just takes us out of the equation. We don't know what's going on, and that's usually a good way to get ripped off too. Banks outsmart us, and I've put an ouch up there because it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but they do. Banks have been outsmarting us for a while, and you know, one of the things that they'll do is they'll market this debt, they'll market these credit cards in a way that we just want it, and it's okay, and it's safe, and it's easy to buy those things now with their credit cards, and we just completely dismiss or forget about the fact that there's going to be interest and that there's going to be fees and that those can destroy what happens to us later. Their marketing, and we've heard this word a few times, their marketing is so powerful that we end up kind of just being mesmerized by it and buy big ticket items or things that we can't afford because they make us think we can afford it. So when we're talking about financial success, it really comes down to this. Financial success is your behavior and making sure that you can manage your behavior. We've talked about this. This is another way of saying the 80-20 rule. And by the way, this is a hint for the test. If there's a question about this financial success, it doesn't even say 80-20 in the test question, but it's really an 80-20 question where you can know all that you need to know about winning at money, but if you don't do anything about it, you're going to still be poor and in debt. And so behavior and the managing of behavior is really the key to financial success. Some people think that income is the key to financial success, and I'm not going to deny having more income makes things better in some cases, but if you're making $100,000, and that's, by the way, double what the average person makes, and you are spending $100,000, you don't have to be in math class to figure out that you're left with zero in savings and zero in investing. Whereas if you're making less than that, and you're able to save, say, 10% of that, and it shouldn't be a minus, that would be a save right here, that we'll end up with $5,000 saved. So even though this person here made twice the money, this person here is going to be more rich because this money is going to be growing for them and be available to them in savings, and they'll have the ability to pay cash for things when they need to because they probably have better habits. So income does not equal success when it comes to money. Some consequences of spending. Well, one of the big ones we just kind of talked about, if you spend all your money, you miss out on the ability to invest or make your money grow. And it seems like, hey, no big deal, I can invest later, but when we learn about how compound interest works, you're not going to want to wait. So one of the consequences of spending, you can't invest it. Stress, how am I going to pay for stuff? If all my money's gone and something happens that's unexpected, that adds stress. How am I going to handle that? And again, we've talked about money stress being the #1 cause of divorce, and so we know that it happens. And also, once you end up with debt, there is kind of a cycle of debt where it's very difficult to get out of debt. And some people are paying off one credit card with another credit card, and that's kind of how the cycle goes. So those are some consequences of spending and not saving. Let's talk about the history of money. And we know that Americans learned to borrow kind of post-World War II. The war had ended, it was successful, there was a lot of prosperity. We know that after 1970, the consumer debt and borrowing money really skyrocketed. And we know that as banks made profit, they were willing to lend more. They saw a way to kind of make more money. And so, those are some of the things that you'll need to know. There's a timeline and some information in your book. There's a question on why was the use of credit uncommon prior to 1917. So know that particular date. Financial insecurity, and I'm going to kind of show insecurity, the opposite of being secure. If I'm secure, I am solid and able to, in terms of money, take care of unexpected car breakdowns, or if something happens that I didn't know was going to happen. If I'm financially secure, I can take care of that. Financial insecurity is going to be simply, I live paycheck to paycheck, meaning if I get a $1,000 paycheck, that $1,000 is immediately spent throughout the month, and I've got nothing left, and I have to get the next paycheck. Otherwise, I'm in big trouble. So there's a couple questions about being financially insecure or financially secure, and that's kind of what we are talking about here. People who are financially insecure end up with a savings rate really low. Sometimes it's zero. Those who are more secure end up with a higher savings rate and a higher investment rate. So if we're going to talk about factors in becoming money smart, one of the things that we need to know is some basic math. It's not hard math. You're going to sit at your table with a calculator, and you can use a calculator in this class for the test, but you do need to know addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. It's not difficult math, but you've got to know some if you're going to be money smart. You've got to know the language of money. You got to know what the terms mean. If I say mortgage, if I say interest, if I say 401k, if I say Roth IRA, those are terms that you'll need to know. Some of them you know now, some of them you will know by the end of the class. You will know how to manage your behavior. This is so big. We talk about this all the time. So money smart, or people who are money smart, have a basic knowledge of math. They know the language of money, and they manage their behavior. Money personality. There's a couple questions on money personality. You should know that. The money personality, if you know your money personality, it allows you to excuse excessive spending. Let me start over with this. This is one of the things it doesn't do. If you know your money personality, you recognize who you are and how you handle things and ways in which you can get better at money, ways to grow and ways to learn. So grow and learn. If you know your money personality, grow and learn is one of the things that you can kind of get out of it and get better with money, right? You can also come up with a plan, a financial plan. which is, a budget, an investment plan, those types of things, because you know how to do it. But a lot of times if you don't know your money personality, what you end up with is just a bunch of excuses. I don't make enough money, or life's out to get me, or nobody's going to be able to make it, and all these excuses that you can't win at money when you can. Your money personality and knowing it will help you to do that. Personal finance, where the math is easy, but what's hard? So the math isn't hard. We've talked about that. What is hard, I know as soon as I put this up, you guys are going to be like, again, and yes, again, and you can see how many times this is going to come up on this test, that your behavior is key to what's happening with your money. Why is credit and debt marketed so heavily? Why is credit and debt marketed so heavily? What are some reasons for that? Well, first off, credit is profitable to the banks. It's not profitable to us, but the credit card companies and the banks, they make a lot of money. There's a strong demand for big ticket items. TVs and houses and cars and all those things that people don't want to wait for. There's a demand for that. So these banks take advantage of that. And then the laws, since the 1920s and some other times, the laws have eased it a little bit where it's easier for people to borrow money. And that's really made it the marketing and those companies making money. It made it happen more often. During the Great Depression and the New Deal, credit, that was kind of the time where we're talking where credit could be profitable. There's a test question about this time period. That's probably going to be something that you're going to see as far as an answer. Credit could be profitable. This New Deal, which was a policy, a government policy, they started to make some laws and some rules that said, hey, you can make some money. So what is money success? What does money success look like? This is pretty simple to me. When your money starts to grow and make money for you, that's the start of success. Is when not only is your job making you money, but your money is making you money, and that's in the form of interest, good interest, not money that we are paying the bank, but money that we're getting. This could be from the stock market, stocks, those types of things. More will come in the chapter on investing for that. But what's success? Your money's growing and making you money. Your habits now will impact your behavior later. There's some test questions on that. Most Americans aren't wealthy, even though we drive down the road and we see all these new cars and we see these big houses and we see everybody going on vacation. A lot of that was paid with credit card or debt, and we think they're rich, but really they're not. You need to learn the language of money. We mentioned that twice now, so there's probably a couple questions about that. And why is debt bad? Number one reason, the biggest reason when debt is bad, is it keeps you from making your money grow. You can't invest if the money's gone. If you sent all your money to the credit card company, that money's no longer there to put into a savings account or an investment account. So that's the biggest deal. Where do you start? Well, you look at your income, what you make. If you're mowing lawns, if you're a teenager and mowing the lawns, how much do you make? Things that you have that are worth money. Could you sell your lawnmower? Do you own your lawnmower? Do your parents? And any debt that you owe. The good thing, and one of the reasons we start you out early, is you probably don't have many things that you owe money to, or many people you owe money to. As you get into an adult, you need to look at your job, how much you make. You need to look at anything that you own. And you need to look at any debt and figure out a plan or a starting point based on those three things. Everybody should have a financial plan, but not the same plan. Your plan is going to look different than your neighbor's plan, and it should, because you have different things here. We'll go back to different income, different debt, different assets. So your plan should look different than other people's, but you should have a plan. When you're studying for the test, take a look at Chapter 1, Section 2, the money personality. We've mentioned that. There's some questions on that. Take a look at Chapter 1, Section 2, teen money attitudes. And that's just the first part of that section. But there's a question or two on the teen money attitudes, so look there. Should you have some fun money? And the answer is yes, you should. We put aside in our plan or our budget a certain amount of money. This will be made up money, but let's say $100 for the wife and $100 for the husband, and this is again just a made up example, so that the wife feels like she's got money that she can do whatever she wants with, and nobody's going to tell her that she can't. And the husband feels like he's got money that he can do whatever he wants with, and nobody can tell him that he can't. And what this does, when you have some money that is fun money or your money, it helps to keep you on the plan. It helps to keep you on the budget. If you have a plan or a budget in which nobody gets anything and nobody gets any fun money, then nobody's going to stick to that plan. Nobody's going to keep that plan. So there's got to be some fun money or some free money. The economy, I noticed that there's a couple of questions on the economy. We need to define that, and that's just where it's kind of a system in our country and most countries where goods and services are produced and consumed. It looks different in some countries, but in ours, we have a free market in which we can make stuff that's going to sell, and we buy stuff that we want to buy. That's the producing and the consuming. I noticed that there's a mention of the recession that we've gone through, started about 2008. We're still kind of coming out of it. A period of temporary economic decline, so it doesn't last forever and ever. But we're having less goods and less services provided, and we're able to buy less because maybe our jobs aren't providing as much pay, or maybe we've lost our jobs. So those two are kind of tied together. So that's kind of the setup, and if you've been with me the whole time and you've taken some notes and you've been paying attention, you're going to do pretty darn well on this test. And so kudos to you, that's great. Now we talked a little bit about the format. We have some multiple choice, we have some true false, there's a few questions in which you're going to have to give me short answers and that sort of thing. But other than that, you should be good, and I apologize for the length of this, but I think that it's going to help you, and thanks for joining.